All right, everyone. What is up here today? YouTube, excuse me, Jigsaw0097. Sorry for the lighting. I decided to take a walk tonight after the game. The game ended about an hour ago, but oh boy, man. This was one of the most frustrating, but also one of the most rewarding Eagles games I think I've ever watched. And that sounds really weird to say because this was against the 2-10 New York Giants, guys. This was a game that, honestly, if you look at it, the Eagles should have handled this one no problem. But, as we all know, we saw them lose to the Dolphins a week before this. We all kind of felt, I think Eagles Nation as a whole all kind of felt that this was a very losable game for the Eagles because Giants have nothing to lose. The Eagles had everything to lose. So, just getting into it. The frustrating part of it was the first half. Nothing was able to be generated on offense. The defense let up 17 points, just right like that, 17-3. It wasn't looking good. Doug Peterson looked like he was clueless. Carson Wentz was missing guys that were like 2 yards away. He overthrew Zach Ertz. He underthrew Alshon Jeffrey. And then speaking of Alshon Jeffrey, he went out of the game. And I think Lane Johnson went out as well. So it wasn't looking good. We went into the half 17-3, and it was just a disaster piece if I ever saw one. The first half was seriously like Chip Kelly levels bad. It reminded me of that Redskins game with Chip Kelly where Jason Peters just went and sat on the bench, and Sam Bradford and DeMarco Murray were like stinking up the joint. It was like that bad. It was like the game that Chip got fired from. And I was thinking like, holy crap, if they end up losing this game, you might have to look at this whole coaching staff, this whole organization. Like, it was that bad. I was just disgusted with what I was seeing. 2 years ago, they win the Super Bowl, and then we're at this point. So, they go into the half 17-3, and they come out, and they're still looking a little flat. But the defense was able to stop Eli Manning on his first possession, and they stopped him pretty quick. So, that was good, but the offense was still struggling. It really wasn't until the third quarter they started making some drives, guys, and I will give some MVPs to this game. To who I think really won this game for us. Number one is Boston Scott. I'm not giving it to Carson Wentz completely because I don't really think that, for me, Wentz, he did good in the end, but he still didn't prove much to me in terms of his longevity as the franchise quarterback. He did things that were Carson Wentz of the old, but he had some of the worst mistakes. Like, I can't even tell you. Like, he looked like he was like a freaking high school quarterback out there in the first half. So, I got to give it to Boston Scott. That dude is like the next Darren Sproles in many ways. He's pretty much like what the Eagles thought Donnell Pumphrey was going to be. And I think the Eagles, sorry, I'm just picking up the mail. I think the Eagles just picked him up as like a practice squad guy. So he wasn't even like a guy that they expected to use. But yeah, what a game for him. I got to give him credit, massive credit. I mean, I don't think we win this game without him. So you got Boston Scott is number one. Josh Perkins, I'm going to give him some credit too because he made some clutch catches. And it's really funny that I'm saying these names because like these guys are practice squad guys, This is not what you are expecting to talk about near the end of the season, is how much of these practice squad guys you liked. Sorry, I'm just collecting this mail so I can walk back. Yeah, I got the keys. But, yeah, got to give it to Josh Perkins. Got to give it to Boston Scott. I will give it to Carson Wentz a little bit for the end because he made some key throws. They're really, the thing about Wentz is it's just really hard to tell what he is. I was on Facebook. I was saying he was trash. I was getting heated during the game in the groups. I shouldn't have done that. I usually keep my cool, but usually when the Eagles fail, it's like there's like one game in the season where like I just lose it. I just can't handle it anymore. And this felt like it was going to be that game, but they won. So maybe that'll be the next game, Dallas. But Carson Wentz just makes really weird mistakes. But I can't really blame it all on him yet because we got to give him more time. The only reason that I'm so harsh on Wentz now is because I saw Foles do the same thing with the talent he has, and he made it work. And this was just last year. I'm not talking about the Super Bowl year. The Super Bowl year, he was loaded, but last year he made this same team work. Now, I know Nelson Aguilar's out, and Alshon Jeffrey looks like he's just done. He might just be done with this Eagles team for ever, but I don't know. I can't really judge Carson Wentz yet, so I'll give him some credit in this game. He made some really clutch. This is probably the first time I can remember that I've seen him win a game. I think the last time I saw him do this was in 2016 against the Redskins, where he actually came back and beat them. That was the game where we'd lost 5 or 6 straight to the Redskins, and he finally beat them and ended that streak. That's the only other time I can remember Carson Wentz, coming back and winning in a game. And this wasn't an easy one. It was 17-3, so he had to come back from quite the deficit there, and he did. And they held the Giants to that score the whole time. So got to give him credit. Greg Ward was pretty good, although Greg Ward did have some really bad drops. That one in particular near the end, that was basically a touchdown. It hit his hands and he just dropped it. I don't know what's going on with this coaching. I really just don't. Them winning this game in ways, guys, could be a bad thing, because if they end up going to the playoffs, we might not see any significant changes in this coaching. And, they go to the playoffs and they play someone like the Niners, I just don't see how they win that game, guys. I just don't see how they win that game. And then they're going to just use the argument they got to the playoffs, so they're good. And I don't want that. So I'm really torn. I'm glad they won. But at the same time, I just don't see how this coaching squad can, last long term. I don't see how you can go into another season with these same guys, regardless of if you get to the playoffs or not, and expect to do anything. I mean, Howie Roseman really needs to be put under a microscope now, because he's been here the longest. I'm hearing fire Doug, fire this, but I'm starting to think Howie Roseman, you really got to look at him objectively, because he was here with Chip Kelly. He was here near the ass end of Andy Reid. So, he's been here for a minute, and, he's good with the cap, but is he really good at evaluating talent? Because since 2016, I think it was some crazy stat that I heard from Elliott Shore-Parks. It was since 2016, the Eagles have drafted I think it was 26 players, and only 5 of those players have become full-time starters, guys. Think about that. Only 5. That's less than 80% of your draft picks are busts, or more than 80% of your draft picks are busts. That's not a good stat, guys. And that really falls on Howie Roseman. That falls on, Joe Douglas, maybe to an extent when he was here. But we don't really know with Joe Douglas, because he was here basically for the Super Bowl year, and that worked out. So you got to look at what Howie Roseman did after the Super Bowl, which is a whole lot of nothing. And then you got to look at what he's doing. Basically the Eagles are all in on Carson. That's no doubt. That's why I said they made their decision. They're going to stick with it. That's just how they are. I think that if the Eagles get rid of anyone, they'll get rid of Doug. They'll get rid of Howie Roseman. They'll get rid of everyone before Wentz. So I don't know. I don't think that's going to Wentz is going anywhere. But this whole team, Carson Wentz could get them all fired if he doesn't get it going. But at the same time, I don't know how much to blame on him. So I don't know. I'm rambling about that. I'll just kind of wrap this up. So the Eagles beat them. I think it was 23-17. They beat them in overtime too. That's another thing, guys. This game went into overtime, and it was crazy. They got it they got the coin toss, and I was thinking, all right, but they're going to just give it up again. But they made it. They did it in one drive. So, you know, MVP to Boston Scott, number one. That guy was really good. I got to give him so much credit. You know, he was a workhorse today. Jay Ajayi, I still don't understand why they brought him in. The guy has really done nothing since he's come to the Eagles. He really has done absolutely nothing this season since they brought him back. I think today he even dropped a pass. Like, you know, Carson overthrew it, so I can't blame everyone. You know, Carson either overthrows or underthrows. It's maddening. I really rarely see him throw a clean ball. You know, he did do it in the fourth quarter today, but it was like consistency. Like, is he going to do this next week? I don't know. You know, this is the game now. Just like I predicted, the Dallas Cowboys versus the Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia next week is going to decide the division. And what a crazy game that's going to be. That's granted the Cowboys beat the Rams, though. I think if the Cowboys lose to the Rams, that's going to make it so. I don't know. I think I'd have to do the math, but I think even if the Eagles lose to Dallas, if the Eagles can win out minus Dallas, they might still be able to get in. I don't know. The NFC East is such a joke, guys. It's so hard to do this math right now, but I think that this next game against Dallas is going to be huge. This is going to be a playoff atmosphere for these teams. You know, they're both bad, but you know, when two teams are bad, it's going to make it look like playoff football. So we'll just have to see what happens. But anyway, just wanted to make that video, give my thoughts. I had to mull this one over. You know, like I said, the big takeaway for me here is that I'm really glad they won, but at the same time, I'm not really glad they won. And, you know, I'm not really like reassured here. I'm not like going to get my hopes up for this team because they haven't shown enough. This was a 2-10 Giant team. They struggled mightily. I know it's division, you know, rivalries, blah, 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 but also the return of Eli. Some people have been saying that Eli coming back kind of, you know, was unpredictable, which was a little unpredictable. But the Eagles have played Eli Manning so many times in the past. Like I said in my last video, the Eli Manning has some of the worst offensive stats in his career against the Eagles. So I don't look at that as an excuse, but it is what it is, guys. I am continuing this ride, I guess. The ride of the Philadelphia Eagles in 2019 continues, and we'll just have to see what happens next week with Dallas. But anyway, that's all I have to say. I've rambled on here long enough. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you guys are happy about this win, worried, whatever, I'd like to hear from you. If you're new to the channel as well, make sure you hit that subscribe button, as I'll be covering the Eagles and the NFL all season long. And make sure you, to all my returning viewers, make sure you hit that notification bell and that you actually are subscribed, because YouTube is lame. So anyway, thank you guys again so much for watching and supporting the channel. This has been Jigsaw0097. I will talk to you all later.